Heard already, Jack Charlton is taking over as manager of Newcastle United. The former Middlesbrough and Sheffield Wednesday boss agreed terms last night at a meeting with United officials in Durham. But as Ian Ponovich now reports, the replacement of Arthur Cox, who resigned 3 weeks ago, has been a pretty low-key affair.
Today's news wasn't unexpected. Even so, it was unusual the way the club announced it baldly and without razzmatazz, and no formal press conference. The club appeared to know little more than the press. Charlton himself was nowhere to be found. The club would only say they're expecting him to start work on Wednesday. So why did Charlton win the job?
He has an abundance of experience. He is obviously, as you all know, one of the top men in the country. And obviously, coming from this part of the world, he will, without any doubt, give his all for Newcastle United.
He's not been wildly successful as a manager, though, has he?
Yes, but he has been a manager for quite a number of years now, and his experience in the football world, let's be honest, even with you gentlemen of the BBC, is highly acknowledged. And I don't think for 1 minute that we have in any way disappointed Tyneside by appointing Jack Charlton.
What do you think of the news that Jackie Charlton's to be the new manager?
Well, they just should have kept Arthur Cox, because you'll have an opposite approach to him, to like attack football, and not have that.
You think it's going to be defensive? So you're not...
Well, like the first part of the season, to see how they do, you'll attack, but to see if they get into trouble, you just defend, just to keep them in the first division.
He's got a hard job on his hands. He may do it. I sincerely hope he does, for not only for his own sake, but for the club and the thousands of spectators who have supported Newcastle this past 2 years.
Presumably you've heard the news that Jack Charlton's the new manager. What do you think about it?
Well, that's why I've changed my season ticket. I wasn't going to, because I thought it was going to be Turner or someone like that. And I'm not keen on them. Like, now please, I've got a Geordie bloke in.
Do you think there were a lot of people who thought the same way as you, that they weren't going to renew their tickets?
Well, there is, because most of my mates weren't going to, because they were expecting some unknown manager who's been in charge of other teams and that.
So the name has brought you back to Newcastle?
Has me, anyway. So I'm pleased I've got a decent bloke in.
I think he'd be a good manager. He's an excellent coach. He left Middlesbrough with some smashing players, Graham Souness and Hudson and all them. So I think if he does as good a job with the players, he gets the defence sorted out here, I think we should have a good year. Maybe consolidate and then build for the season out there.
Newcastle are lucky to get Jack Charlton. If some of us had our way, he'd already be England's manager. I can think of no better at handling a squad when having the choice of the country's players. If there's such an animal as a good coach, then it's Jack Charlton. And I'd say he's the best at reading a game. And if you saw his coaching series for youngsters, you'll recall the effective simplicity of his message. It was because of these things and his North East associations that he topped my list of contenders for the job when Arthur Cox left. But Malcolm MacDonald, who'd have loved it, would also have been a popular appointment. The boardroom feeling, though, was that the former Newcastle goalscorer didn't have a good enough track record. And Keith Birkinshaw, despite his trophy winning with Tottenham, was also ruled out. It won't be forgotten on Teesside that Jack became Manager of the Year in his first season after retiring as a player. He led Middlesbrough to the Second Division Championship 10 years ago by a record 15 points. He did so without a single bye. He added Bobby Murdoch to the players he'd inherited and ran a superbly organised side. But that brings me to my main query about Jack, his ability to buy successfully. As I discovered when I recently spoke with him at Middlesbrough, he doesn't like buying.
I've never been a big buyer in my life. I like to get the best out of the players I've got before you really look at the situation and buy.
Now, whereas that's fine for some clubs, Newcastle are a buying club. And without doubt, Newcastle need to strengthen the team, which faces a testing return season in the First Division.